Hi, this is Dawn Boyer, and I am with Artist Eye Reviews, Art and Coloring Books and Products. Come and visit our page at Artist Eye Reviews to see more of these videos from the artistic viewpoint versus the production or manufacturing point that a lot of other coloring book reviewers put out. Visit the sister page for how-to videos and other interesting tidbits about how to color, paint, draw, and other lovely coloring talk topics. Today I'm going to be reviewing the book Daydreams by Hanna Karlzon. She is a Swedish artist, and I've done another video review of her other book called Summer Nights, and her pictures in her book caught my eye when some people were coloring in the books and posted their resulting work on Facebook. And I was very attracted and impressed by the style of drawing and coloring pages that she creates. This is a hard copy book, so it is hardcover. The pages are very rich and thick. I was able to get this book, I believe, for less than $10 on Amazon, and I can't remember if I bought it used or new, but the pages are quite thick and sturdy. So if you wanted to use wet media, you could, but here's the drawback and the problem. The pictures are double-sided, so if you used art media that bleeds through paper, no matter how thick this is, it will bleed through on the book. So these are the type of books that you might want to actually use coloring pencils, maybe gel pens if they don't bleed through the paper, and or pastels and other dry media versus the wet media. She's got quite a lovely little page up front that you could write your name in if you want to as you finish the book, and lots of lovely little mushrooms and flowers and birds, so that's just quite nice. Here is her first page with the bunny rabbit, and he is full of flowers and lots of little bees and flowers in his ears. Nice stylistic line drawing. The appeal to this book too is that I believe the artist used the same width nib of ink pen when they were drawing the pictures, so the pictures actually look very uniform all the way through the book. So here's some bees surrounding a lock with a keyhole in it. Nice and simplistic, so this would be a good drawing for a beginner or intermediate drawing artist. Here's a little princess riding her bird into work every morning, I'm assuming. Nice dogwood flowers. Here's the next page. It seems to be a home with little chimneys just bursting with flowers, and here's the hanging hearts designs. The flowers are all different, and they aren't necessarily realistic flowers, but they look real enough to color as flowers and be recognizable as flowers. Here's a little cityscape. It's a two-page layout with buildings and flowers and all kinds of lovely little bugs and gems. This artist likes to include gems and stones and crystals in her artwork. That's one of her trademarks. And a little bug hiding here in the leaf. I really love some of the bug pictures that she draws. She uses the Zentangles and the patterns and things of that nature, and just very well laid out, very organic, aesthetic, and very well done. Nice even patterns and drawings, so you could do add a lot of color. She uses some stippling as some of the shading in the book, and it has some lovely little bubbles in the background. Here are some bleeding heart flowers surrounded around the base with what looks like sunflowers and maybe some dogwood flowers. There's a nice little dragonfly floating through the picture in the air. Now this is a simplistic or a great design page. On this side is a empty drawing, and I say empty, she's just drawn the outline. And on the left hand side, she's giving you some ideas to draw your own. So gorgeous entangled patterns in the Mehndi henna type of Eastern Indian format and methodology. And then on the right hand side, you can try to draw your own. Or you could just fill it in with one flat color if you'd like. This is a type of book, when people are coloring, they don't like to try a lot of things because they think they have to be perfect. You really don't. This is just for you and your own fun. So don't hesitate, just jump right on in. On this page is a beautiful crown with some of her trademark gems and crystals and patterns and flowers. And to the left is looks like it could be a dogwood tree, but I think a dogwood tree only has 5 petals, and the wood stems and some pretty little birds going up right there. And we'll flip the page. Here's another one of her bugs, beautiful butterfly, lots of real stylistic designs interspersed with flowers and leaves. And again, all the lines are the exact same width of nibs, so there's no dark or light line alternating. So it is a little bit of a two-dimensional type of picture, but you can actually turn it into some three-dimensional aspects, because she's actually highlighted where you would put white in some of the round to create the three-dimensional look. Here's a cute little kitty cat. And another one of her trademark methodologies is the dotted lines stipples to showcase shading and other type of darker areas of the image. Here's some little tiny little bluebell bonnets hanging down, some mushrooms, some very organic leafy vines, mushrooms, a little snail up there. This is a 2-page layout. It is the ocean-going boat in the left-hand side, and you see little things and critters all through the waves through here. It might be a little difficult. If she had made the wave lines a little bit lighter and then the little hidden things inside a little bit darker, they would be easier to see. So in this particular case, I would probably advise use some really bright colors and maybe some tertiary complementary colors for the little designs that are hidden inside. It's a starry night, and over here on the sea, on the other part of the 2-part spread, is a little island of mushrooms and the falling stars and the moon in the background. And again, the sea has little hidden critters and objects all through the waves. Here's a duplex picture with the seahorses and the coral and the beautiful shell in the center, and some other shells along the bottom interspersed with all the coral, and the traditional bubbles, because we are definitely under the water and there's a lot of little bubbles being created. Here's some gorgeous, gorgeous jellyfish. I just love all the various patterns and lines that she's applied to each individual jellyfish, so they each stand out on their own. Here's a bird flying up into a whole bunch of decorative patterns and lines, and very organic and round and leafy and nice. I like this page because of the bugs. This would be a page that might be attracted to little boys or men who might be wanting to color in the book. Most people think coloring books are just for women and it's a woman's hobby, but there are some topics and subjects that are out there, or pages in some coloring books, that would be maybe appealing to men. Little boys who are fascinated by bugs may absolutely love to color this page. Here's a little bunny out on a nightly stroll with his lantern, and he's talking to the little bugs that are glowing around the light, and there's little things all hidden down inside here. There's some little toadstools and mushrooms and other little critters down through here. This is a pretty spring drawing of a bird in his nest and the eggs, and as her trademark is, there's a little gem and the beautiful little dogwood flowers. There's a little butterfly over here to the right. Here's a home page where she's got a house with a little bit of this is sort of reminiscent of the Red Square in Moscow roofs for some of the buildings. Beautiful flowers, the little bird, and she's got a little key, so maybe it goes to this house, number 3. And this is, I believe, a 2-page spread, so the next door neighbor also has a nice little house, the little traditional Victorian tower, and the beautiful flowers. Again, all the lines are the same exact width, so I believe she might have like one width of pen nib, and that's what she loves to draw with on her pictures. There's a beautiful dragonfly with some gorgeous flowers underneath it. And this one's a little different and odd. It almost looks like she's created a symbolic heart picture. There's a beautiful woman talking to a little bug or looking at a little bug, and she's got some tattoos on her arms that sort of morph into the design pattern around her that is framing her. Isn't this cute? 3 little mice are out to sea, and they've got their little lantern holding their way, and the little ribbons are their sails, and they're hanging on for dear life because the ocean's sort of rough right there. Now this is a very beautiful compass picture. You see the north, east, south, and west of the compass. Gorgeous fleur-de-lis and border decorations around it. I can envision this being colored with a monotone theme, browns, golds, bronzes, and maybe silver, and then pulled out of the book and hung up as a showcase picture on somebody's wall. Now this is nice. Dragonflies, the lily pads, and the flowers that are there. So I can see the blank part in the back being colored different shades and varied blue, and then different colors of green for the lily pads, and then maybe some bright pink poppy colors there for the flowers, and then the blues, greens, and oranges maybe for the dragonflies. And here's some fish. So this would appeal maybe to the fisherman who is home in the rain and couldn't go out fishing, and the wife hands him a picture to color, and it's all about fish. They look complicated for the patterns, but they actually are simple enough that it's good enough for beginner colorists. So here's a in-town picture. Look at all the little houses on the streets, all going sort of like San Francisco, on the steep hills and the condos and townhouses, and they use little mushrooms as the decorative elements in landscaping. Here's a cat with a town on his back, and he's got keys to all the houses, bugs and flowers and little circles around. Again, little boys may like the bugs, but they might also like the butterflies and moths that she's drawn here. So nice Zentangly patterns and design lines that fit very well. Now, a lot of these lines are very close together in a lot of the pictures in her book, so you may have to use the very fine line pencils or the gel pens to be able to get into those very small areas to color. Here's another picture that I can see being colored and then pulled out of the book and hung up on the wall as a showcase picture. 2 pretty birds there, and the flowers, and the beautiful oval shape in the back. This is a 2-page spread. It's a woman's face on this side and on this side, and they both have very similar hairstyles. I love the little freckles. And they're both wearing headgear and earrings and dangling jewelry. And here's her headgear. One has a little swallow and the other has the swan, and they both have the dangling jewelry areas. So this would be good enough for a beginner colorist to intermediate, and I would imagine that for an advanced colorist, the skin tones might be a challenge for you. Here's a unicorn with swirly mane of stylistic decorative motif. Here's a bird over a wreath. Here's a duo of emus in a frame of beautiful flowers. Here's a bird on a stalk, a bouquet. These almost seem like grapes, but they're not. They're sort of like funnel flowers hanging with the bees and the bugs going to get the pollen. Here's the princess on her throne with her favorite eagle, the toadstools and mushrooms and flowers. And this looks like it morphs into a 2-page spread, but I think it's actually a 1-page each. So here's the moth in the middle, a beetle, butterflies, leaves, all in front of a trifecta design. Ooh, blackberries. I'm sure these little mice are gonna so enjoy the feast. So I would probably color them with varying tones of blues and purples and dark reds and blacks. And this is a 2-page spread. It is a peacock. So you can see the beautiful peacock feathers that she's got on the 2nd page and the peacock itself on the left. Here's another one of the women, butterflies coming out of her hair, gorgeous braid, earrings, and the flowers with the circular pattern in the back. Here's sunflower, or maybe this is one of these tropical flowers I don't even have a name for, and then the bees going around. And here's 2 birds. This would be simple enough for somebody who's a beginning colorist. And they're complicated patterns, but once you start filling them in, it ends up being a whole lot simpler than you think it would be. And here's a set of a castle, I would say, on top of swirly patterns that could be a cloud with the little raindrops coming down from them. Here's a frog trying to stay dry in the rain. And here's another page for simple drawings with the little toadstools and the mushrooms and the various patterns. I recognize this is a morel mushroom. Here's another one of those Here You Try It pages. So on the left-hand side is a very complicated, very decorative beetle bug. And on the right-hand side is a blank, so with just the line drawings. So you can dive in and try to draw your own or see if you can imitate the picture on the other side. So that's fun. Here's another 2-page spread layout with the woman with the seashell motif, the beautiful earrings. Oh no, there's no freckles. You'll have to add some in yourself. And then the fish on the other side. This one I love. It's a stylized Zentangle crab holding a gem. So you can see all the body of the crab, their claws, and so this would be really fun to draw with a lot of bright rainbow colors. Here's another undersea picture with the fish. It almost looks like he's got a zipper on his side, and then some gorgeous coral that she's drawn here on the bottom. Here's another little kitty cat. Kitty cat loves to play with toys, and this kitty cat loves to play with its little gems and crystals. And so this is a trademark of the artist. She loves to do a lot of the crystal gems. And here's a little bee on the right-hand side that is collecting a bunch of little gems and taking them back to the hive. Here's a 2-page layout full of owls. There's Mama Owl, Papa Owl, and the 3 little baby owls on the right. Here's another simple page for beginner colorists. These are the seashells. Lovely patterns, lovely layouts. I can see if you use shading in the right way that you could actually make these look 3D, even though they're drawn in 2D. Here's an ocean bottom, the lovely sea flowers, the coral, the fish, starfish, the seaweed. Here's another do-it-yourself set of pictures. Here's the original fish by the artist, and over here's the mirror image where you can try to draw your own patterns. Here's a rabbit king on top of his toadstool, surrounded by beautiful flowers. And here's a crown. This is just, it looks complicated, but it's really not. It would be good for beginner or intermediate colors just to try different varying colors. Here's another 2-page spread out with a whole bird flock inside a tree. So I can imagine you could pick maybe a monotone set of colors for each bird and then intersperse them for a rainbow effect throughout the 2 pages. More beetle bugs surrounded by designs. This is fans and leaves and flowers. Here's another bird with some beautiful floral motif surrounding them. I think the key hanging from a jeweled necklace is also another one of the key elements that this artist likes to add into her pictures. Here's the king bunny. This must be a royal portrait. Holding the gem, has his crown up there. This is nice. It's very simplistic. It does seem dark, so I would probably use against these dark lines on the leaves some yellows and golds and oranges for a fall color, and then use maybe some greens and purples for the bugs against the leaf background. Here's another city picture, mushrooms, and this is on the back of a snail. See his little tentacles here? Another undersea picture. The tube coral, the other jellyfish and elements there. This is a pretty jellyfish. It's got very simple. This would be a good picture for a beginner colorist. The tentacles coming there, although they look more octopusy than jellyfishy. And then some more simple fishes to color. And this is another 2-page layout. You have the lovely woman and the flowers surrounding her, and her braid from her hair coming up, beautiful flowers, and the bee with the gems. I'm not sure if the artist in Switzerland or Sweden, where she's from, knows this, but the teardrop out of the corner of an eye of somebody is actually in America symbolic of somebody who is done away with somebody and is in prison. So it may be different symbology in other countries, but unfortunately that's a negative connotation here in America. It's another bee with beautiful flowers. And here's a rooster. Isn't he a proud bird? Look at all those beautiful flowers and the feathers coming out of his body, and he's just strutting his stuff in the middle of the barn yard. And here's the princess again with the flowers, the gems, the crystals, and a bird. And here's a very well done bird. I like the way she's laid it out on the page. Very zentangly and lots of patterns, but simple enough that somebody who's just beginning to color can easily do this picture. And then she's got some other smaller practice drawings here that you can work on. And here's a bunny in the forest. Here's her trademark gems and crystals. She's got some wheat here too, which is nice. That's different. And here's another 2-page layout. She's got the freckles back on the young lady. It looks like a snake skin coming through. And if you go over to the other side of this 2-page layout, it is a snake with the head over here, mushrooms, tadpoles, leafy. So nice 2-page spread. This one is just a beautiful margin to margin picture with beautiful flowers, the bees, the butterflies, the bugs. And here's a peaceful sleeping fox. Isn't that beautiful? And she used stipples to indicate some shading and some 3-dimension in the picture. Another town home. And the sleeping owl. So this is the last page in her book. It's been a rather long video review, but I wanted to show you just how beautiful, beautiful her pictures are. And this is the book Daydreams by Hanna Karlzon. And if you'd like to, come on back to my Facebook page where you can see more flip-through artistic reviews of coloring books, art books, and art-related products. Like, follow, and share Artist Eye Reviews, and visit the sister page for how-to videos at Coloring Talk on Facebook. This is Dawn Boyer.